everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Today we're going to talk about bar maintenance, guide bar maintenance for your chainsaw. And I don't exactly know how this video is going to go. I've got an idea in my mind. Do they always fit and work? No. But I was fortunate enough in my last parts purchase, I received new old stock and used parts. And there have been actually some pretty good used parts mixed in there, and I came to the box that had guide bars. And a lot of these are, I could sell them as they are. It'd be better if we did some maintenance first and cleaned them up and made them better. And yeah, so let's run through these real quick before I even get started. And we're going to just assess them for condition. The first one, I've got 4 bars for the Super XL, that D196 Oregon mount. A lot of the saws, 3/8 studs, Super XL, XL12, 330, 360, all the way up to the 750. These will fit. So the first one's a hard nose. And you can tell that it was probably an Oregon bar by the multi-pattern here. Could be a Homelite, but there's no serial number on it. Now, they did away with that somewhere in the 60s. It could be a Homelite bar, whatever. We know it's that big mount. So we're going to look at some problems that it has, and what I'm willing to ignore and what I'm not willing to ignore, okay? First thing, you can see right there by the oil hole that it's actually cracked at the oil hole. I don't know if the bar was tweaked when it was bolted on the saw, but it's pretty straight right now, you know, and that's how you check a bar for straightness. Just sight down it, and if you do that, use your rifle eye, or if you don't shoot a rifle, whatever your dominant eye is. And yeah, now I can see that it's got some to the rails. The left side, as I'm looking at it here, is higher than the right, and it's dug a ditch in between the outside edges, so we'll put it across the Barshop here before too long. But let's finish the inspection. Excuse me. So we know it's straight. Little cracks at the oil holes that don't go all the way through. I don't care about that. This bar can be run. It's fine. Check the rails for big chips. Oh, well, crap. So right there is some pretty big chipping. This got hot, either from a dull chain being forced through, lack of oil, maybe, but I don't see a lot of waviness. So the original bar's arc is pretty consistent across here. Normally, if it's been run without oil for a long period of time, you end up with a valley right in here where it's really, really pronounced. There's a tiny bit of one. I'm going to guess this was a dull chain. Somebody tried to hog it through the cut, and you got some chipping there. Now, I will be able to grind a lot of that out. This particular spot, I probably won't be able to take it all the way, but I'll be able to take enough that I'm confident this will run. I have run things like that after being ground. As long as you keep your lube to it, it's going to be fine. So, this one I'm going to recondition. I think it's worth it. Next one up, this one's a 20 also. That last one was a 20, this one's a 20. Same mount. Now this one was Homelite branded, so that last one, that one probably is a Homelite bar. I didn't realize that Homelite had their branding on this style, or I'd forgotten. Doesn't matter. So, same thing. Sighting down it, looks pretty good. The tip's a little loose. Those rivets could actually be tightened down a little bit, but the bearing is not shot. Little lube, it'll be fine. Looking at the rails, there's a little bit of, just a little bit of wear in here. When you flip it, this was the dominant downside for sure. You can see some chipping up there. Again, If you grind all the way down to where there's none of that, you lose a lot of bar. I can get enough flat out of that to where there's just a tiny bit on the edge and groove it out a little bit, and it'll be fine. Am I zoomed in? No, I'm not. Weird. I just must be standing too close to the camera. So yeah, this one, Recondition. Man, this is a nice looking bar. Sighting down the edge. Straight. Look at those rails. They're beautiful. Ah, crap. Whoops. Don't ask me what happened there. I'm assuming that was an impact to break it out. I can't. This bar, unless you're somebody who can weld, what is it called? Hard face, I believe. If you're someone who can do that, use my email address that's at the end of this video. Email me. I'll hold on to this bar for a couple of weeks before I pitch it. Because for someone out there that has the gas welding skills or MIG, whatever, I don't know. I don't know what it would take. I know I don't have it. So if you do, and you want to pay shipping for this bar, I will send it to you for the cost of shipping, and you fix that. Okay? So that one's out of the pile. Can't do anything with that. Which is really too bad, because it's beautiful. Here we got a 16-inch bar. Again, Homelite. Straight. Little bit of crowning on the rails. That'll grind out just fine. Where's the sprocket? Somebody must have intended to replace it because they ground those rivets off, but then just never got around to it. And I don't know why. I don't see it's straight. I mean, there might be a... It's hard when it's not riveted in place to see. There might be a little wowzer down here. But man, it's not much. Not enough to not do it. Let's put it that way. I'm virtually... Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm 99% certain I have a sprocket tip in stock that I can put back on there. But I'm going to wait until all the work is done on the grinder itself, because I won't have to worry about trying to dodge the sprocket tips that stick out there on the Barshop. So, enough jabbering, let's get down to it. And the first thing you need to do is improvise a workbench there with my ice chest. That's a garbage can right below me. Nothing magical. First thing you need to do, if you're going to do some bar maintenance, clean out the rails. I'm sure there's a bazillion videos online that'll tell you all the tools that they like, all the tools that they don't. There's a million different ways to skin this cat. And I could care less what way you do it. Just do it. Even if you're not reconditioning a bar, when you pull it off to sharpen a chain on a grinder or flip the bar, any reason you have the bar off, clean it out. And if you notice it's not oiling right, it's probably because you got an oil hole like that that's all plugged up. So because somebody will ask what I use, well, if I'm here in the shop, Oregon sells a nice little tool. It's a multi-tool. It's got the hook for pulling the grooves out, and then it's got measurements on there for degrees and measuring pitch of chain. Simple little tool. This just says number 50,000. I can't imagine that that's the part number. Whatever. I'm sure you can find it online. And then some Harbor Freight dental picks. That's all you really need. It's all I need, let's put it that way. And if I'm out in the woods and I don't have a tool nearby, I'm going to grab a stick or the screwdriver that I'm adjusting the saw with, that I try to keep in my wedge pouch, and do the best I can. And if all else fails, you can use the lungs that you were given. Just don't blow it into your eyes. I got safety glasses on my head. So anyway, I just want to go through, clean all the crap out. You know, some bars aren't bad. That one, you could see how much it was resisting me. It's got a huge amount of buildup in here. And cleaning this out isn't just good maintenance for day in, day out. It's also a requirement if you're going to do any regrooving, because you don't want to destroy your wheel by gumming it up with oil and sawdust, dirt, and whatever else has managed to accumulate in here over the years. We're going to use the Barshop, as I've already said. Those wheels aren't cheap, and I don't even know if they're still available. I need to call the equipment place up there in Washington and see if I can get some more. And I'm afraid of what they're going to tell me. It's been about 5 years since I last bought any, so yeah, we're going to hope that they're still stocking them. Man, that's got a lot of crap in it. Okay. So some of the tools that we're going to use in this video, you guys won't have access to because they're hard to come by. And that's okay. There are aftermarket tools that are available right now that make the work easy enough if you're doing it on a small scale. Now, I'm doing this on a larger scale, so I'll be first to admit I'm a bit of a prima donna, and I like having the cool stuff, and I like being able to make the videos for you guys using the cool stuff. So I like to do that and then close the rails. Okay, we've talked about that before. This bar, hopefully this is focusing. You can see it's straight, but that's pretty wide right there. It's actually wide on both sides. Let's see. Here we go. This is narrower. Hold the two as close to straight as I can. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that. We're talking about a 32nd of an inch. That's all the difference. But it does make a difference. Where did I put my piece of chain, folks? That's too big. I don't know what I did with that small piece. But when you put a chunk of chain in, okay, see, that doesn't have a huge amount of rock, and most of what's there is actually the crown on the rails that needs to be ground flat. But you come over to this bar that I said was a little worse. I think we could all see that it was a little worse. See all that? You can hear it. That needs to be closed up. So, how do you do that? I really want my shorter piece of chain, and I don't want to have to cut. There it is, I think. Sorry for the squirrel moment. I need a piece that says 72. There it is. Much easier to use. Maybe I won't lacerate myself this way. So there's a couple tools you can use. The most widely available through the aftermarket these days, I think the only one through the aftermarket, is one of these. Alright, a lot of people don't like these. I'll be honest, it's not my favorite. You've got to, this is a piss poor design, at least what's being made right now. There's no race in these bearings, so you have to keep the nuts kind of loose, and then they loosen up on you, and the bearing starts falling off. And there's no real wear plate, it just kind of drags on there. You tighten this little wing nut, you loosen it, get it over the bar, and then you progressively start tightening it. So you got to have it loose so it'll move. And the friction of the rollers on the edge of the bar slowly start to close it. You got a reef on this. And it's easy to go too far. When you get it just tight enough and you've rolled it a couple times, you got to keep checking it with your chain. I've done a lot of bars like this, you guys can tell by the wear, that was a bolt. That's what's left of a bolt head. I recently, that I have not tried out, got a new tool. A new to me tool that Oregon hasn't manufactured in a long time. Okay. And we're going to try it out on the channel today. So the principle is, you knock these little pins out and you put the groove shim in there that fits the gauge of your bar. Now this one is 63 gauge. The one that's in there is 050. By some weird coincidence, the one that's broken is 058, the one I use the least, thankfully. But I've never actually used this tool. I've done that little bar maintenance lately. So let's set this off to the side where I can't do that again. And the principle of it is this is V-shaped. Okay, so you want to get the tool over the bar, get that groove, that shim into the groove, and then that V shape, as you hammer down, is going to close the rails, and you just move along and do that. Okay, this is full guinea pig style. I have not done this. Somebody has. You can see some mushrooming on the head of this tool. So let me get everything set up. We'll come back, I'll find the right view angle. Yeah, try it out. Okay, so here we are. Unplug that for a few minutes. I am going to attempt to do this. We'll see how it works. I want to make sure I get that in the groove so that I don't damage anything. Okay. Now I had that pretty tight in the vise, and it wasn't enough because you can see it moving. Man, that's about where I want it. But this bar was already in pretty good shape. So how much I'm really doing? Oh, I don't know. The real test will be on that next one. If it wasn't for the fact I don't want to damage the rails, it would almost be worth putting it on there. I don't have to deal with the bounce in the vise, but I went too far there. Or did I bend that link? Now. Oh yeah. Okay. So that was my question. Can you go too far? And it looks like you might be able to. Okay. These are all 50 gauge bars. Not as tight as I can make it. Let's See if it's tight enough. That still looks pretty splayed out. I'm not convinced that this vise idea is the best. Alright. Oh my God. That might be getting it. Yeah. I think a lot of that's the rails at this point. Because they do need ground. Oh, wow. Well, that's not a ringing endorsement at all. Piece of the rail came right out there. Well, that's a problem. I don't like that at all. So, just for the sake, I'm going to put the noisemaker away for a minute here. And we'll try the roller method. Because even though it's a pain in the neck, I can say I've never broken a rail rolling it. Yeah. The tip is a pain. It's so easy to get it just a little bit too tight. There we go. Yeah, you don't want it any tighter than this. That's perfect right there. So far I'm going with the roller for the win here. Let's see what it does on this side. close. I think I need one more twist. Well, no, I don't think I do. No, I don't. Wow. So this one had a little more groove to it. Maybe that's part of the difference we're seeing here. But so far, I have to say, Oregon's tool is far less desirable. This bar, the way I've always done it with that roller, came out much nicer. I don't know. Okay, so the next step I like to do is grooving it out. There are more than one way to do this. I've seen guys buy the right size disc for your angle grinder and then carefully do that. You got to have a steady hand. Okay, it can be done. You just have to have a steady hand to do that. So I've heard speculation of folks designing a jig to do it in a table saw. I can envision what that would have to look like. It would be a lot of work. It really would. Where the table saw might be a better fit would be for grinding the rails flat. So you get a wheel that has cutting material on the side, and then, you know, you can have that 90 degree. You just got to be careful not to get too much sideways pressure on a wheel like this, because these will explode. I've had some of these blow up on the Barshop here. But that's what we're going to use, is the Barshop. Because that's what it's designed for. Since I have it, we're going to use it. Alright, that is just not quite the right view. There we go. I think that'll work. So this thing is going to spin counterclockwise, and that's why I always work pulling it. Hold on. It spins clockwise, and I pull against it. That way it cuts better, and if I lose control of it, it doesn't shoot back at me, it'll shoot out into my yard. Okay? That's an important detail. And since you're going this way, where are your sparks going to go? Out that way. So if you're in an area where there's a lot of combustible stuff, pay attention. Okay. So a couple things. I think you guys probably could see a few times as I would dig in, it would pull. Alright? The first pass I take in either direction, I'm going light and gentle, and I've got a hell of a good grip on this, because if you've grooved it just a little bit too tight, the wheel is going to tell you, because it's not going to go all the way to the bottom without some resistance, because it's going to be grinding the sides out back to this width right here. Okay, so a couple things. I like to start at a consistent point, because you can't do the whole thing at once. You've got to have enough bar left here for you to hold. And I don't care what method you're doing. You know, if you've got a fixed wheel and you're moving the bar, you got to have a good grip on this, and it's got to be a flat surface or a stable surface. Okay, so on this, I'm starting in the middle, work my way, boom, did a few passes. Now you can see the depth is pretty good there. It's well below where a driver is going to ride, so we're good. Normally, as you're going this way, you got to stop right about there, otherwise you're going to start dinging up your sprocket nose. Okay, this one doesn't have the nose in there, so I didn't have to worry about that. But same number of passes, you know, just get in, okay, do it on both sides, and you're done. So this one's grooved out. It's grooved out to the point where I think when we grind the rails flat, this one is going to be ready to rock and roll. And of course, we'll have to put a new tip in right there, but no big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and groove these other wheels out. Probably we'll kick it into a little bit of fast forward there after a minute. And then we'll come back for surfacing the rails flat. Okay, that one fought me a little bit. You guys can see that, I think. Okay. Alright. So now grind these flat. So this is again another 90 degree. This is a cup wheel right here, specialty item. I bought 2 of those the last time I bought stuff, and I've been careful to try and grind on the inside and outside so that I can make this last as long as possible. I've done a lot of bars. So this is the easier part. All you got to do here is just try and maintain the same speed across, unless you're trying to remove more of the metal in one spot than another. Then it doesn't matter. Then you do what you got to do. But generally, if the contour of the bar is the way you want it to be, you want to move across at roughly the same speed and avoid stopping. Because if you stop with pressure in, you're going to end up with a little belly or valley in the bar, and it's just not good. So you want to try and avoid that. We'll start with this hard nose one. Okay, first pass. This bar is not terrible, but you can see it took stuff off the edge and didn't touch this rail until right here. And then we got all this crap. So let's see what we need to do. Okay. And that got it down. But we've still got all those dings there, and I want to try and work some of that out. Okay, so it's looking better. We won't be able to get all those chips out without taking too much material off, so we're just going to get it as good as we can. Okay, I'm going to call that about as good as I want to do. It's not perfect, but if you keep it lubed, this ought to still last a while. And that's the key, keep it lubed. I mean, we would have to grind a 1/16 of an inch off of this, and I'm not going to do that. The bar would be pencil thin at that point. Okay, this side was worn pretty heavily here, but you can see it's already scraping, so it put more of a ditch than anything. Okay. This side's definitely the cleaner of the two. And that's grease from my gloves there. You can still see the chips. So if these bars were still widely available and being manufactured, you'd probably think about pitching this and getting a different one. But we're in that phase where that's not the case anymore. So, yeah. If this was going on a saw that I wanted to use, I would put the chipped rails to the top the better side to the bottom and just keep it good and lubed. I mean, what are you going to do? So, it's too nice to throw away, but it ain't perfect, you know? So, we're going to go ahead and grind the next two, and yeah, just see how they come out. Okay, so that's it. And I pretty much am showing you guys a close to real time. Pretty close. So what we end up with, we got a 16-inch bar that when I order a tip that I was certain I had, that I don't, repair kit, I'll put that together. This is a good, clean bar. Very, very little damage remaining on it. A little bit of wear at the tip. No big deal. Same thing on this side. Again, no big deal. With a good sprocket in there, it's going to be lifting the chain off of the nose anyway as it goes around. This is going to be a good bar. We got a 20-incher that apparently I misused this tool. I must have had it cocked at an angle. I don't know. I don't know what I did. We got a nice little chunk missing there. Now, I'm not going to throw this bar away. It's got some other damage that I don't want to grind that deep to take out. But, again, these things are uncommon enough. I will hold on to this for myself. That's going up there. I'll have a saw that I need a bar for. That'll be good enough. We got our hard nose. Okay, again, some stuff that's not going to come out, but largely good. Okay, this is going to be good enough. I'll throw a chain with this, and this one, this will be good enough. So, I got a whole pile of stuff over there to go through. There's some Super 2 style bars. There's some Super EZ style bars. There's a couple other things mixed in there. And, excuse me, there's another box. There may be more bars. I'm not sure. I just know I opened that box this morning and went, oh, it's the bar box. Okay. So, anyway. This thing has potential, but I'm not sold. I'm not sold that this is better than that roller. I mean, I can buy a lot of those $35 or $40 rollers, and if I wanted to, I could come up with a race system so that I can tighten those nuts down and make it better. I could modify that and make it better. I mean, everybody's drunk uncle could modify that and make it a little better. The idea is sound. It's just it was built as cheaply as possible. So, yeah. I may just improve it a little bit and keep this thing for the novelty of it. I don't know. A Barshop, because I have it, I'm going to use it. The grooving, I am thoroughly convinced if you get the right size cutoff wheel, right thickness, you can do this with an angle grinder, and you could even build a jig in order to keep it straight. I know it could be done. I could do it. I just don't, because I don't have to. I have that machine. The table saw idea with a wheel on it for putting these flat, that would be easy. If you have a table saw, I would actually, and you do a lot of cutting, I would encourage you to do that. Get a wheel that'll fit on your table saw so you can keep your rails flat. How often do you have to do this? How hard are you on your saw? And I'm not being a smart ass there. That's an honest question. Sharp chain, Good oiler. Don't smoke it. Might be every third chain. Might be every fifth chain. How many of these bars have never had this? This may have never been ground. This bar is probably 50 years old. So, you know, flip your bars, keep them clean, keep them oiled, keep your chains sharp. It'll go a long way towards preserving them. So, hope this video was of some entertainment. Hope it was of some use to you guys. We'll catch you on the next one.